Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to take your shapes and make them into 3D objects. We'll start with the cube. I'm selecting my square. I'm going to copy, paste behind. I'm going to move my square over. I'm using my arrow keys on my keyboard to move it over. I'm going to scale it down slightly, and then I'm going to grab my white arrow to select only the outside two anchor points. So you can see if I zoom in that these two are selected because they're filled in blue. These two are not, they are still white. And using the arrow keys on my keyboard, I'm going to move these up so it looks like my square is being skewed. Get it just where you want it. I'm going to apply a different color to that part of the square, part of the cube, so that I can see it better. I'm going to copy this, paste behind, and move over that copy, move it over to the other edge of my cube. It's looking good. And then I'm going to copy the front of the cube. I'm going to select the piece that I know that is in the way back, which is this one. Select that and then hit Command B on your keyboard for paste behind, and it's going to paste behind the shape that you had selected. And then you just need to move it in place. I'm going to add perhaps a darker color so we can see it even better. And there's my 3D cube. Now instead of doing a back to the cube, you could do a top to the cube. In that case, I would copy my front, paste in front, Command F to paste in front. Measure and line up the front top two anchor points with the back edge, just like I'm doing here. And then grab your white arrow. You want to deselect, and then you want to go ahead and select individual anchor points, the bottom two anchor points of that square. Hold down Shift to select more than one. So I'm clicking Shift right now, and then I've selected that second anchor point. With my white arrow, I can now move those two anchor points into place, like this. To give further dimension, you can apply a gradient. I'm going to apply a gradient as a fill here, and I don't want to keep it blue. I'll go ahead and change it to a dark to light orange. Oh, that's not enough. Here's another one. Here's another one. And then I'm going to grab that front cube and do the same thing. I'm just going to eyedrop that color, and we can sort of see the three-dimensional aspect of this cube now. To do a circle is going to be similar, but there are a few different things that you're going to have to do. So Command C to copy your circle, Command B to paste behind. Let's move it over and scale it down. Because remember, this is going back in 3D space. Now we need to create a shape that connects the front circle, the larger circle, with the circle that's behind. And I have to use my pen tool for that. I'm going to click the pen tool, and I'm going to create an anchor point that's on the edge of that big circle. I'm going to create another anchor point that connects the smaller circle. It doesn't actually connect it, we're just drawing a shape. And create a third anchor point that's on the other edge of the small circle, and then a fourth anchor point that comes back to the large circle. I need to close the path of my shape, so I'm going to come back to that first anchor point, and you will see that my cursor now has a little open circle next to it, and I'm going to click that. So now I have this odd trapezoid, and I need to combine that with the back circle. So I'm going to select my trapezoid, hold down Shift, and select my back circle, and I'm going to unite them using the Pathfinder. Now I'm going to apply a gradient to this so you can see it in 3D space. I'm going to click my gradient and then choose two colors that coincide with that front circle. Now my front circle is not sitting in front, so I have to change the arrangement. I'm going to hit Command X to cut it, select this new shape, that's my 3D shape, and Command F to paste in front. I'm going to lighten my pink just a little bit. And there you go. I have a 3D cylinder. With my white arrow, I can select the back points and I can move this out to elongate it, or I can move it in using the arrow keys on my keyboard to shorten it, depending on how you want the perspective to be. The last object is going to be the cloud. So this is an organic shape, and it's got lots of little corners and rounded areas. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit Command C to copy, Command B to paste behind, and I'm going to offset it. I'm going to choose a darker color so I can see things a little bit better. We're going to use a similar technique that we did with the circle above. I'm going to grab the pen tool, and from the corner of the top cloud, I'm going to create an anchor point. And then I'm going to come to the corner of the bottom cloud and create another anchor point. And all I'm interested in doing right now is closing that shape. So whatever you need to do to close that shape and get your pen tool to come back to that first anchor point. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about this odd pentagon sitting on top of our top cloud. We're going to fix that in a second. I'm going to come over here because these two need to be connected. This is a 3D extrusion, then there shouldn't be space right here. So I'm going to create an anchor point on the first cloud, near the first cloud, another anchor point near the second cloud, and then come back around and close that anchor point. That path, I mean. Now we don't really need anything over here. Potentially we would need to draw perhaps another shape from this edge to this edge, but it's going to do very little. You can see there's a little sliver here that it's going to cover, so we'll go ahead and do it. All right, doing good so far. Now this cloud, this blue cloud, this light blue cloud needs to sit above everything else. So I'm going to hit Command X, and I'm going to select all of this blue and then hit Command F so I know it's going to sit in front of all of that. I'm going to go ahead and select all of my blue one more time. Actually, I can draw a bounding box around everything, and then holding down Shift, I can deselect the light blue. So right now, I just want my dark blue selected. I'm going to hit Unite, so it's all one shape, and now I can apply a gradient so that it looks more three-dimensional. And you can have more than two colors in your gradient if you want. And you can get as fancy as you want with your gradient. Let's go a little bit darker on that blue. Okay, and then zooming out, that looks like a three-dimensional cloud. There is an effect, a 3D effect in Illustrator that you can use. What happens is it doesn't give you much control over color, and it doesn't give you much control over the general visuals. So when you do a custom three-dimensional extrusion like I've shown you here, you have more control and your work tends to look better. I've seen some success with the 3D extrude, so I'd be open to you using it. However, once again, I think you're going to get better results if you do it manually. I hope this tutorial helps you, and I will see you all soon.